That's a great scene, and it kind of captures that relationship. Eric, why, and tell us your thinking on this relationship between Paul and Luke. I mean, we see it there in stark relief.
Absolutely. It's so beautiful to watch, like, these actors bring it to life too, you know, like, I mean, how many times have we heard that the love is patient, love is kind at weddings and everywhere, when you see the context that it may have come out in, you know, or something really human. Their relationship is beautiful. It's a big brother, younger brother. It's a mentor to someone new and growing in the faith, and it's a beautiful thing to show. And I think in our world today, you know, as filmmakers, we want to put in the context of these stories all kinds of things that we can connect with, you know, and we have a need for mentors in our lives, and we have people that we look up to, and we have people that have drawn us deeper and into our faith, and that's just so important for us to see and share in the film process.
Jim, for you, first of all, we should say, and both you and Eric can talk about this, this was a very tight shoot. James Faulkner, who plays Paul, only landed on the set 3 days before you started shooting. So you didn't have a lot of time to build a relationship with James.
Raymond, that scene wasn't originally written in the script. I asked Andrew if he would write this scene, and he did a marvelous job at it, but it wasn't in the original. I said, because this is one of the most familiar things I always hear at weddings.
Mm-hmm. So how many of those happy accidents happened in the shooting? I mean, I'm sure there were other moments like this that popped out and came out of creative tensions. And
write it down. Write it down was the big one.
We're going to play that clip in a minute for you, so you know what we're talking about. Yeah. Tell me about.
He said it at the end of that one.
Oh, he did. Oh, I did.
He said, "Write it down." Then, yeah.
Write it down.
It's amazing the process of, you know, you come to the production scene by scene, moment by moment, with a general idea of where you want to go, but then what the actors bring to life, sometimes it brings you in a different direction.
Did you draw on anything personal as you approach this role, Jim? I mean, you lost a mentor, a couple of them this year.
Well, you knew Beverly Dean, and my manager, and my lawyer died this year. He happened to come with me. I did a thing for Pope John Paul in Poland, and he came with me to Auschwitz. And we went to the very place that Maximilian Kolbe was executed. And you just could feel the hauntingness of the souls. And so when I came back, I said goodbye to him, and he didn't know that I was never going to see him again. He died in the hospital 2 weeks later. And so David Zealon, who produced this, came back to me again. He come to me originally for it and talked to me about it, and I didn't jump up and down about it. I think it was just the appetite wasn't there. And then two of my staff, husband and wife, committed suicide. So one of the worst things ever, you know. And then I get this screenplay and read it, and I had to do it. I just had to work this out. And I think that, you know, that was part of life happens. And
well, you were ready for it. When it came, you were ready.
Well, this movie essentially is what happens when your mentor goes. You know, you're there, and Frank and I we would walk along. It wasn't easy doing The Passion. It was much harder afterwards. Because of the response of what, you know, a priest has a collar on, and I can have a lot of compassion for them when they're treated terribly in a shopping store. But my collar's my face, and people walk by it and say, "There goes Jesus, and there's Jesus." But a lot of times it's not good. But you know what? I'm not a victim here. And that's what Frank always talked to me about as a mentor. So in this particular scene, there's no victims here. And Paul definitely wasn't. But I had to find ways to make him a bit of one. See, you can't play a guy who's good becomes gooder ends the goodest, pardon my grammar. And I think that's a problem with a lot of faith-based films. They're just so full of sugar. I can't drink that much sugar in my coffee.
Didn't know where you were going there. Okay. Let's, Scott, to set up this next clip, give us a sense of the historical and biblical context of this moment in Paul's story. Because in the wider context, we're seeing a Christian community under assault, in hiding, being persecuted. Paul is imprisoned. What else do we need to know to fully understand this?
The Roman Empire under Nero fell into the deepest corruption. The darkness was most likely demonic. And so here is the Christian community as the body of Christ experiencing what Jesus' body had just undergone a couple of decades before, back in the early 30s. And so you recognize that this is the moment when it looks as though this empire, this culture of death, will snuff out the life of Christ's body. And yet the relationship between Paul and Luke, and I love the way James Faulkner plays Paul, because I'm not sure people love Paul, but they will after this movie. And I've loved Paul since I was 15. He has been a person of interest of mine for 45 years, you know. But I think what this movie shows us, it reminds me of that old proverb, they buried us, but they didn't know we were seeds.
Yeah. And you see that, and you really do see that in this film. You know, these people, they think it's the end. I mean, they really do think this is it. Right. And it's only the beginning. I want to show you this little clip. This is another moment from Paul.